Well, it's done. Starfleet Academy will not have a third season. And since they technically filmed seasons 1 and 2 back to back, it really is just one season that they divided into two. And thus, with a whimper, the shortest running Star Trek series will come to an unceremonious end. Hello everyone, and welcome to my over 3,600 subscribers. I can't believe how much this channel has grown. Thank you so much for being here. Creating YouTube videos isn't my job. It's barely even a hobby, and on my average day's to-do list, content creation doesn't even make the top 5. I'm the only person involved with this channel, so I am slow to create videos as I want to do the best possible job with the skill set and tools I currently possess. I don't speak well extemporaneously and prefer to script these videos as I write better than I speak. Unfortunately, this just adds to the time it takes for me to create them. With this knowledge, it's likely no surprise to you that I'm still working on my review for Star Trek Starfleet Academy Season 1, Episode 4. I have a lot to say about it. It's already 8 pages long, and I'm still going. But given that I can only work on this when I forego sleep, and I can only record during the rare moments when my house is quiet, my completion of Episode 4's review has been overtaken by the airing of the final 6 episodes of Season 1, along with the announcement that Starfleet Academy was cancelled and will have no further seasons after it airs Season 2. For a lot of reviewers who are fans of the original series and the Berman Braga era of the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, this was very good news. Indeed, many reviewers I've watched are almost ecstatic with this revelation, and I understand this mindset. To those for whom Star Trek holds a dear place in their heart, this series and subsequent fan blaming by the studios and actors when it wasn't well received feels like betrayal. For me, however, it's just sad. And this might take a bit, but let me explain why. I count myself among those for whom Star Trek holds a dear place in their hearts. Some of my earliest TV memories are watching TOS reruns, and then I watched TNG, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Enterprise all when they originally aired. I grew up with those shows. Now, there were plenty of other great television shows then and now that I can sit back and enjoy wholeheartedly. But Star Trek wasn't just a form of passive entertainment where you suspend disbelief and go along for the ride with the fantasy. A not too far in the future united Earth where humans had overcome all their prejudices and worked together as professionals to explore the universe and expand our collective knowledge? For me, this was a challenge. This is what the future could be. Make it so. And for the true believers in my lifetime, collectively we did. When TNG first aired, most of the technology around me was buttons, dials, and monochrome screens. Within 25 years of the pilot episode, we had ultra-flat touchscreen computers like the pads on TNG and pocket-sized communicators that can instantly connect us in real-time two-way video to anyone else on the planet. Former enemies came together in the 90s to build the International Space Station. We sent sophisticated robots to other planets in our star system and built space telescopes that have allowed us to find planets in other star systems, the existence of which was still only theoretical for the first half of my life. We were making Star Trek a reality. And then it all kind of went sideways. Maybe it was 9/11, maybe it was the recessions, maybe it was the rise of private equity firms that exist to strip mine businesses of all their value and ultimately destroy them. Maybe it was this delightful term coined by my fellow Canadian Cory Doctorow that has seemingly moved from the tech industry into the entertainment industry, among others. In reality, it's probably some combination of all of the above. Regardless of the cause, since 2005, the trend in Star Trek has been not to challenge us with what we could become, but just show us as we are, with cool effects and exciting space battles. You can probably trace this trend back even a little earlier, when Star Trek Enterprise had its 3rd season arc hijacked by a 9/11-like plot to make it fit more with what present-day American viewers were experiencing. Shifting gears to more traditional Star Trek storytelling after that arc was complete gave us the 4th and arguably best season of Enterprise. But overall, this change of attitude or philosophy by the showrunners of Star Trek required the whittling away, piece by piece, of everything the original Star Trek series stood for, until we've been left with the rotten core that is Starfleet Academy. For a show that was claimed to be designed to entice a new and younger modern audience to the Star Trek universe, it failed on several key fronts. It provided little to no explanation for anything seen in its cinematic universe. Existing lore was highly glossed over or not discussed at all. Viewers new to Star Trek would have no idea what any of the different species represented, or their abilities and weaknesses, or even what some species were called. Similarly, the Federation itself, what it stood for, why and how it was founded, its values and directives, none of that was ever covered or explained. The kids are told they're important to the future of the Federation, but the viewer doesn't understand why, or what, if any, stakes there are in failure. Previous Star Trek series were set in our near future, where the scientific advancements displayed had logical rules and limitations similar to modern technology. By setting Starfleet Academy 1,000 years in our future, the technology has to basically be magic to appear sufficiently advanced. Yet, in practice, it can fail in worse ways than the older tech of the previous series, or even our own modern tech in some cases.
Well, that's a design flaw.
The idiosyncrasies and unique traits of the various alien cultures in Star Trek were distilled down into generic modern Generation Z archetypes in Starfleet Academy. There was no infinite diversity and infinite combinations, no outsiders to comment on humanity, and no alien cultures that take a human trait or philosophy to the extreme so that it can be critically examined. It was just a bunch of American teens in cosplay using American teen vernacular dealing with the shallowest of American teen issues. As a science fiction series, the science is so bad as to be laughable. There is no concept of scale in the universe or the vast distances between stars. Ships appear where they need to be at a moment's notice. A crude, anti-intellectual space pirate introduced in the pilot episode is able to create a minefield surrounding 8,000 light-years of three-dimensional space in a matter of a few months, and no one bats an eye about this. Treating it as a drama series instead, Starfleet Academy still failed terribly. Characters acted and reacted with no obvious explanation or very weak justifications, more often than not solely to move the plot forward. Key character motivations either almost never played a role, like Caleb's search for his mother, or never caused the character to fail and force them to reevaluate their motivations, like Genesis's desire to become a captain. Opportunities for actual dramatic conflict where characters would be faced with difficult decisions or emotional betrayal with resulting consequences were missed routinely, yet sometimes other characters would act as if those betrayals had actually happened. Looking at you, Tarima. The characters had no real depth and no real growth. Every kid is perfect, especially Caleb, and only needs to be told how good they are in order to realize it. By the end of Season 1, the only character who is significantly different is Sam, and that's because she ended up getting essentially rebooted and given a new personality in a montage rather than experience actual natural growth and change. And finally, when viewers, whether existing fans or new to the franchise, criticized the poor writing and narrative direction of the episodes, they were accused of simply being haters and that this wasn't their Star Trek. And this is why I'm sad. Just as how the hope and professionalism of the fictional future has been replaced by modern-day cynicism and snark, those same attitudes seem to have thoroughly infected the present-day stewards of Star Trek. The hopes and dreams that Star Trek used to inspire are considered antiquated by modern showrunners, and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad Starfleet Academy is being held aloft by them as the pinnacle of the franchise. Just a brief post-production insert here. I'd also like to point out another couple of reasons why I'm sad about the cancellation of Starfleet Academy. With over 200 years of science fiction writing, 60 plus years of Star Trek series, movies, and books, and innumerable other amazing narratives in movies, television shows, and video games, this was the best the showrunners could put forward. This is a reflection of what they thought the audience would want, or perhaps more accurately, what they assumed the audience would be willing to pay for through Paramount Plus subscriptions. Maybe an argument could be made that modern Trek doesn't have to be as exposition-heavy and intellectual as the past series, but it shouldn't be this stupid and poorly written. And I'm also sad for the genuine fans of the show, if they actually exist, given that the reports of viewing numbers paint an absolutely dismal picture of the fan base. But either way, if this series spoke to you or gave you some greater message or hope for the future, it really sucks for you to be losing out on future installments. And rather than accept what I believe to be very valid criticism and attempt to do better, those in charge have decided to pick up their ball and go home. And while I have no doubt that the truth surrounding all the issues with this series will eventually trickle out, for now the consensus among showrunners seems to be that it's the viewers who are wrong. As a result, there may be no further Star Trek after Season 2 airs for a long time. Now, there are a lot of people who think this is a good decision, that we need a break to allow the IP to cool down. That if the choice is Starfleet Academy or another tired reboot or reimagining of Captain Kirk, then we're better off with no Star Trek at all. But there's a third option. Create good Star Trek that fans want and will re-inspire us to be better again. Many people recommend, and I agree, setting it after the events of Star Trek Nemesis with a new crew, new missions, new explorations of the galaxy and the human condition, and not on board the USS Enterprise. Put someone in charge with a real love of and respect for the franchise. In today's world, which seems more divided, hate-filled, and teetering on the brink than ever before in my lifetime, I think we need a future of peace, harmony, and intellectual pursuits to aspire to, now more than ever. But the powers that be will do what they're going to do. I just hope they don't wait too long for the IP to cool down. They might not get another chance to bring it back. In the meantime, I will share the advice given by the real-life fake wizard, whose videos I've been enjoying recently. We are at a unique moment in history where anyone can create virtually anything and share it with the world instantly. So if you're a writer, or an artist, or an aspiring filmmaker, create. Make the stories that the squatters occupying our beloved fictions don't have the skill, passion, or fortitude to make. If you're not a creative, encourage creatives that you know. A little positivity goes a long way. And if you don't believe me, just look at how much a fictitious positive future inspired the wonders we have today. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the future.